It's not just the disappointment in the President of the United States, it's disappointment in Congress.
I'm for him. I'm for him all the way. Even if he makes a mistake, everybody makes a mistake.
Honestly, if this program didn't exist, I wouldn't be here. I don't know what would I be doing.
Ho, ho, ho! Merry Christmas!
It's the annual Boat Parade of Lights.
When I become president, the era of nation building will be brought to a very swift and decisive end.
As a candidate, Donald Trump promised a radically different approach to foreign intervention.
We've spent now $6 trillion in the Middle East. We could have rebuilt our country twice.
For years, Trump criticized U.S. wars, arguing they were a waste of lives and money.
But how has Trump handled those conflicts during his first year as president? The short answer? There hasn't been a drastic change. In fact, Trump has shown he's anything but reluctant to use U.S. force overseas.
Since Trump took office, the U.S. military presence in the Middle East and North Africa has jumped by a third. The U.S. is also carrying out more bombings. In Iraq and Syria this year, the U.S. is on pace to drop 30% more bombs. In Afghanistan, the U.S. is on pace to drop 3 times as many bombs as last year. Drone and other airstrikes have also continued to expand in other areas, including Pakistan, Yemen, Somalia, Libya, and maybe soon, Niger.
Strikes in Yemen have tripled and doubled in Somalia this year compared to last. So the uptick in strikes in these countries was largely a part of parts of both countries being declared areas of active hostilities, which essentially means the US could launch strikes with fewer constraints.
Add it all up, and it's hard to see Trump's foreign policy as any less interventionist than his predecessors. If anything, it's just a little more hawkish, says Christopher Preble with the Cato Institute.
He's largely continued what he inherited, with some additional increment of the use of force. So I think in the case of Afghanistan, for example, he, even though he had in earlier years railed against the war, he expanded the war that he inherited.
Trump isn't the only president who's struggled to fulfill his campaign promises on foreign policy. Barack Obama, for instance, promised to bring home troops from Iraq. And he did, before eventually sending them back to fight Islamic State.
I am here tonight to lay out our path forward in Afghanistan.
It's a reminder that presidential candidates promise a lot when it comes to foreign policy, but they can't always deliver. Bill Gallo, VOA News, Washington.
In human history.
I think you have the emergence of a clear Trump doctrine on foreign policy. I think that it's a more aggressive projection of American power on the world stage. You've seen that very clearly with regard to the war against ISIS in both Iraq and Syria. This is a foreign policy that's very much driven by the principle of national sovereignty and self-determination. And you saw that in President Trump's UN address, where he talked about the need to defend the nation state And this is a very different approach, I think, to the sort of much more multilateralist worldview of President Obama.
I think in the 70 years since the end of World War II, America has relied on two key tools for its security and standing in the world. One has been the strength of its diplomacy, and the other has been the strength of its armed forces. One complements the other. And so I think to move away from the Paris Accord on climate, without anything to replace it, is, a step back 10 years.
I mean, I would argue actually that, the foreign policy right now is a lot more effective than what we had previously. Certainly President Obama is very popular in many parts of the world, but if you look at actually what he achieved on the world stage, it was very, very limited. President Trump clearly rejects the idea of isolationism. Many analysts thought that this administration would be isolationist, that you would see America turning away from the world. You haven't seen that at all.
When the administration talks, is it the Twitter that is the U.S. policy, or is it the speech? And so there are often occasions where a speech is issued in the afternoon only to have a competing message out the next morning in the form of a tweet.
I don't think foreign policy should be conducted by Twitter. At the end of the day, what is important in foreign policy is really the actual policy itself.
Easy right now in the politics to know what we're against, and it's harder right now to create initiatives going forward that will be constructive and have a long-term benefit.
If you want to discover the source of the division in our country, look no further than the fake news and the crooked media, which would rather get ratings and clicks than tell the truth.
I mean, he's very eager to have Twitter, mainstream news organizations pick up his tweets and write about them and amplify them. So he is, in one regard, pretty sophisticated about this, in that he is he's using the very press that he is denigrating and is very sensitive to, and gets quickly irritated by anything he sees in the press that he's already decried as fake.
This is an apple. Some people might try to tell you that it's a banana.
We saw the term fake news being used in the Philippines, in Russia, in China, in Egypt, to justify their own repression of the media, their own attempts to delegitimize journalists. So we've also seen China saying, hey, the U.S. is finally waking up to what we've been saying this whole time about, the media being problematic. And that's not what we want to see around the world.
Everyone's discussing it together, like with these new media, these fake news, rumors, this kind of raging problem. How should we deal with this? We are all facing this together.
That has seemed to embolden those leaders in thinking that what they're doing is acceptable, that they can get away with it, that there won't be chastising on the part of the U.S. government.
A year of promises.
We have to establish borders, and we have to build a wall.
And threats to decades-old U.S. policy.
The RAISE Act prevents new migrants and new immigrants from collecting welfare.
Under the premise of securing the country's borders and boosting the economy, have come as a blessing to President Trump's base. And anathema to millions more. Among them, undocumented millennial workers brought to the U.S. as children, beneficiaries of temporary protected status, refugees, and travelers from several, mostly Muslim countries. In diverse cities like New York, many spoke out.
This is about Trump consolidating power through fear. It has nothing to do with making us safe.
They're just in fear of us, and they should not be, because we are stronger all together.
But the hope of establishing a future in the U.S. has become more uncertain. After a year of court battles, Trump's travel order is for now in effect for travelers from 8 countries, 6 of them majority Muslim. Separately, his government cut the total number of refugees by more than half in 2017, even fewer in 2018. The next big push is family-based or chain immigration. Recent terror incidents in New York have emboldened the White House. Would-be terrorist Akayed Ullah prematurely detonated a pipe bomb near Times Square after coming to the U.S. from Bangladesh on an F-4 or family preference immigrant visa.
The president's policy has called for an end to chain migration, and if that had been in place, that would have prevented this individual from coming to the United States.
Family-based immigration policy, in existence since 1965, would be replaced with a merit-based approach that would cut legal immigration in half. Trump has also promised to get tough on illegal immigration, but the U.S. Immigration Agency removed some 14,000 fewer people than in 2016. Still, the number of immigration arrests increased, and immigration enforcement is staffing up. Meanwhile, beneficiaries of temporary protected status from Haiti, Sudan, and Nicaragua are set to become illegal in coming months after their TPS benefits were ended. In September, Trump ended the Deferred Action for Childhood Arrivals, or DACA program, for almost 800,000 young people brought to the country illegally as kids. Congress will have to decide their fate before March 2018. Many are terrified, while others have found a platform to push back.
For me, as a lawyer, I'm going to defend my community in court, in the law, but also I'm going to defend my community here in the streets, and we're going to elevate our voices.
Sanctuary jurisdictions like New York have limited their cooperation with federal immigration authorities because they say they need their resources to fight local crime and not tear communities apart. But the Trump administration has pushed back on that logic.
There's this falsehood that's being pushed out there that sanctuary cities protect immigrant communities. No, they put immigrant communities at risk of more arrests because they're forcing their hand to go into neighborhoods.
In November, a judge blocked threats to strip federal funding from sanctuary jurisdictions, calling them a violation of the Constitution. But as with the travel ban, the court fight isn't over. And Trump's signature promise to build a big, beautiful wall along 1,600 kilometers on the southern border has been reduced to a down payment of 119 kilometers in 2018. Ramon Taylor, VOA News, New York.
I think it's been awful. I think it's been worse than we could have imagined.
Well, I think he's done a lot for our country already.
There's been a lot of noise and drama, but as far as actual achievements, there hasn't been much.
I watch CNN and Fox all the time. That's all the stations I watch, and I think he did a good job on what he's doing.
I think he's mentally ill.
He needs to learn how to behave like a president, behave like a responsible adult.
The people that don't like him is because he tweets and he talks a little rough sometimes here and there.
He's not very intelligent.
I think he puts his best effort in everything.
The Democrats are after. They don't want to work with him.
Who are the people that block him? The Democrats.
It's not just the disappointment in the President of the United States, it's disappointment in Congress and allowing this guy to just run wild.
They just won't give. They just won't come over, or sit down and listen and talk and try to work things out.
And then a lot of Republicans are against him too, so he's got to fight everybody.
I mean, what are we all blind? I mean, are they blind up there? I mean,
yeah, I just think the sooner we get rid of him, the better.
I'm for him. I'm for him all the way. Even if he makes a mistake, everybody makes a mistake. Everybody does things wrong.
I got my beliefs, and I'm gonna stick with them. And whatever, see me. I don't care what somebody else believes. They can believe what they want to, and I'll believe what I want to.
They have gone to bed hungry. They have gone to school hungry. So for them to be able to provide this gift to other people, that makes them feel like they're changing the life cycle of somebody else. The Legacy Children's Foundation is an after-school resource to help at-risk kids, low-income students receive the resources they need to graduate from high school. A lot of what we focus on as an organization, students who are struggling in school but have basic needs that are not up to speed or up to a grade level, and that creates this achievement gap. So that's manifested much more in the refugee population simply because they're learning a second language, they're learning new cultures and all those things that happen at the school level.
I grew up a little bit in Egypt, so I spoke Arabic. I went to school there for a while too, and then when I came here, you know, I didn't really know much at all. Didn't speak English, obviously. So the transition was really hard on me and my family.
When I came to the United States, I did not know English at all, zero. And it was really difficult for me from middle of the 4th grade to 5th grade to just get through that. You know, I always felt really like bad about myself, not knowing, like I couldn't communicate with anyone.
They come from a multiple variety of ethnic backgrounds, from Nepal to Norway to Sudan to Haiti, all over the world. They see snow for the first time, they feel coldness like no other parts of much of the world feel, and the wind. They always comment about the wind of North Dakota. They really are challenged with feeling like they're fitting in. They look different, they talk different, they have a different dialect. They don't always understand exactly what the teacher wants, so there's lots of questions, there's peer pressure.
When you see people in your grade level and you're not there, you're so far behind and you're taking out of class regularly, it just hurts. And yeah.
This place helped you?
Yes, it did. It helped me very much.
Not only has it helped me with like school and like, you know, education, it's also helped me with like leadership skills and like confidence.
Should we use these protein bites?
Honestly, if this program didn't exist, I wouldn't be here. I don't know, what would I be doing? We have 7 boxes of picto beans.
The food pantry really started from the young people on our board. So we have 4 young students that are on our board of directors, and they wanted to do something that was meaningful, that was within our reach, within our neighborhood where we have our headquarters, and they wanted to reach people that were hurting and needed somebody to show up and say, I care, how can we help you? The kids themselves have a need in their own homes for food.
Sometimes we don't have like that much to eat, you know. Usually there's like a box of cereal.
It was definitely sometimes a struggle when I opened the fridge, you know, there's not much we could, you know, pick from.
Oh God, so heavy. Peanut butter.
And so food was a natural connection for them to be able to serve other people who are also hungry. And we had the resources right here on our own property to be able to do that.
If you have more than 4 people in your family, you can take 2 of each thing.
When they're coming through the door and going out, they're so delightful. There's so much gratefulness in their face expression.
The spirit of the kids as a whole is that they want to be accepted. They want to be looked upon as assets in the community who are helping and providing something that's meaningful, that also provides goodness and a welcoming feeling to other folks who may feel lonely, hungry, and forgotten about.
It's always good to see you.
Little by little, but you're making a difference. It's a very good feeling to have.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Their opportunity really comes full circle because they have seen it, they have felt it, they have gone to bed hungry, they have gone to school hungry, they know what hunger, physical hunger is, and so for them to be able to provide this gift of value and substance to other people, that makes them feel like they're changing the life cycle of somebody else, because this organization and the community who supports us has changed theirs.
My yard can be the canvas. The lights are so vibrant and pure, they're my palette.
It's unbelievable.
And it must have taken a really long time to set up.
ho! Merry Christmas!
It's the annual boat parade of lights.
Boaters love a party. Boaters love to dress up, they love to be nautical, they love to celebrate Christmas.
We go out on the water and put on a display for all of the people of the city.
This boat parade has been an icon on the Potomac River in Washington, D.C. for decades.
It started as a bunch of boaters that just wanted to start decorating their boats. It's something you can come down to free, and it'll actually be something the kids will remember for a long, long time.
One of the things that's interesting here is that we had people that were saluting out on the radio saying, Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, Kwanzaa. We're very egalitarian, the boaters are. And so from us here in the United States to people around the world, we appreciate you. And this is a season where we should all come together and enjoy and celebrate the season.
It's just a great opportunity to get together with people where people can gather rather than everyone sitting at home and watching TV.
I love how outdoor markets are very open. There are a lot of people gathered in the area. It's everyone stopping and taking close looks at all the objects.
This one serves people who are walking in the neighborhood, and it serves an awful lot of people who are visiting. This is a tourist city.
We can get together and listen to wonderful music here, get to do some shopping too.
I love how it's all handmade, it's all local. You can't find this at any other mall or something like that. And I love the smells of all the food. It's so fresh, I love it.
This home, with its dazzling array of 380,000 lights, is considered one of the best Christmas displays in the Washington area. The computerized animated light show with music is designed by Bill Vaughn.
My yard can be the canvas. The lights are so vibrant and pure, they're my palette.
It's unbelievable.
And it must have taken a really long time to set up.
Here at what is known as the Santa House, about 6,000 children are expected to visit on the 2 days before Christmas to tell Santa what they want and ride in this 1940s era train. George Barberi and his family have put up the vintage-style displays in front of their home for 30 years.
The more I do it, the more I see the kids' happiness and smile on their faces, seeing Santa and jumping up and down, the more I want to do it.